Picture in your head a scenario. Let's say that a father got off work and after a 12-hour shift, he was just so tired, he fell asleep behind the wheel, unfortunately, and left his family behind, dearly departed. Let's say that a mother died on the table shortly after giving birth. Her child survived, but she didn't. Let's say a couple was together for 30 years. The husband died before the wife, and now she has to live the rest of her life without him. Now let's pretend like God came to them and asked them, hey, would you like to check up on your significant other, your family member, your friend? What if you could come back for just an hour? Just an hour to see how they doing, to see that wife that you haven't physically saw in decades, to come back and tell her you've been looking at her all this time, you're happy with all her accomplishments, to appear at your kids' graduation and let them know you've been with them every step of the way. Now let's pretend God came and asked them, what would you be willing to pay if I let you come back for 1 hour? What do you think they say? What price tag you think they name? I think they'd be willing to give anything in their power to give for 1 hour. Ironically though, that's the same hour that we take and we rent it out for $15 an hour at these jobs, for $11 an hour at these jobs, to put up with coworkers snitching, supervisors belittling you, toxic work environments, underpaid, underappreciated. You know it better than I do. And guess what? If you're a real good worker, you now become a boss. So now you get to work 12 hours instead of 8. I'm gonna let y'all land on a little secret that I learned along the way. You do not make money with your time. You make money with your mind. Let me say that again for the people in the back who ain't hit me. You don't make money with your time. You make money with your mind. You thinking that you can rent out your time and become financially free? Won't happen. Unrealistic. Sorry. It's a Canadian author named Robert Shermer. He has a book. Don't quote me on this because I read a lot and I could be getting it wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is it. And it's a book called Who Will Cry When You Die? And in that book, he talks about, if you look at the timeline of life, and I'm talking about life in its entirety, from the Big Bang Theory, if you believe in that, to 200 BC when paper was invented in China, to 1968 when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, up until now, 2023 going into 2024. If you look at the timeline of life in relation to yours, let's say that your life span is what, 70 years? Look at your 70 years in relation to life, how long this has been going on, the millions of years that it's been going on before you got here, and the millions of years that it's probably continue to go on after you leave. Yo, 70 years ain't. Then he talks about the fact that you got 70 years, right? But you have to take off 20. And you take off 20 because most of the time, as we coming up in age, we stand with our parents, we in school, we indecisive, we young. We don't even understand that the clock is ticking. So how could you say those 20 years is yours if you don't even understand that life is going on? So you take 20 from that 70, which leaves you at 50 because you didn't even understand what was going on. Now you stuck with 50. You think that's a lot? Well, guess what? Take another 20 from that. Because most of the time as we get older, we revert back to being childlike. Depending on how well we took care of ourselves in our younger years, most of us need canes, walkers, 30 medications, wheelchairs. Very rarely as you get older do your health stay intact. So now you're talking about another 20 from that 50, you stuck with 30. 30 years in your prime. 30 years to do whatever you want to do and get the most out of your body. 30 summers, 30 winters. So your goal in that short span of time is to be immortalized. And what I mean is that the greats, the Michael Jacksons, the Michael Jordans, long after they gone, we'll be arguing in barbershops who is better between LeBron and Michael Jordan 50, 100, 200 years down the road. Because whatever product that they was putting out affected large masses of people. We felt that. We felt what it was like to see that Christmas game with Kobe going for 50, or what it was like seeing Michael Jackson moonwalk across stage. That affected us, and that's forever carved in our memories. And they was talented, and they had the ability to get that product in front of large groups of people in order for us to digest it. We don't get the same luxury. Not being that we can't do the same thing as them, it's just we got to do it on a smaller scale because everybody can't be famous and cameras following them around 24/7. So we got to make a good impact on our neighbors, on the people that's close to us. So long after we gone, you can have somebody say, man, if it wasn't for this person, I wouldn't have done X, Y, and Z. I wouldn't have been put in this position that I'm at today. Me experiencing them, encountering them, changed my life in this way. Hopefully it's for the better. So you can carve your memory into people's hearts long after you're gone, long after they can't talk to you, long after they can't physically reach you. That's your key of being remembered. That's your key of being immortalized. And that should be the only thing you're aspiring to do, because there's nothing else that should be more important than that. In the words of Warren Buffett, rich people work to buy their time back. Broke people work for money. Get your time, get your mind together, improve yourself, and then the money will come. Because as I stated earlier, you make money with your mind, not your time. So if you can't self-develop enough, which normally you can't if you're working 12-hour shifts, you don't have enough time for self-reflection. You getting off work and going straight to sleep. And people argue that, oh, it's only a 12-hour shift, it's only a 6-hour shift, 8-hour, whatever. I argue that it's even more than that. Because even if you don't have a situation where you get salary paid, guess what? When you go home after that 8-hour shift, you're tired, you're going to sleep, you're recovering from that 8 hours you just did. And if you're getting the recommended amount of sleep, you spend another 8 hours sleep. So that's 16 hours out of your day already. Now you got 8 more when you wake up. But guess what? You can't get a phone call from a friend like, hey, let's go over here. Let's go out of town. Let's do this for the next X amount of days. Because psychologically, you looking at the clock like, man, I got to go to work tomorrow. I got to go to work in a couple hours. So it's almost like you're still on a leash. You're still a dog on that leash. So I argue, when are you ever free from work? Because you're not physically doing it, it's on your mind. Don't ever put yourself in a scenario to where you giving your all to a job and you're not building up you. Because if you do, guess what? You never gonna find a way out. You're gonna be working and working and working until you can't. And you know what happens after that, right? You die or something unfortunate happens and they have your ship filled the next day, somebody doing your hours. Work on you, man. And as always, if you found any value from this channel, like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. If you're not ready to catch these diamonds, I guess you'll forever be broke.